Hey guys, Rob here again today. So I mentioned we were going to talk about entry notices and when they were and weren't required. So why don't we start today with entry notices for emergencies? So emergencies happen and proper notice 24 hours can't always be given. But you got to be real careful. What constitutes an emergency? We like to say fire, flood, immediate damage to the house, lack of heat, hot water heater going out, or maybe a phone call from police or medical assistance. So it's really important to understand a leaky faucet that is dripping isn't an emergency. That's a maintenance call and should be treated as such. So, under the legislation, when you are dealing with an emergency, you do have the right under the act to go into the property and perform the service that is required. It may not be a full resolution type service, but it may be to prevent the problem from going further. So, let's say you have a duplex, you get a call from the downstairs unit that water's leaking through the ceiling and it's active, and you're not able to get hold of the tenant in the upstairs unit. You arrive at the property, you go downstairs, you witness the fact that the leak is still happening and it does appear to be coming from the upstairs unit. Maybe you can hear a washing machine leaking, a dishwasher leaking, maybe it's even a faucet that's been left on. There's damage happening right then and there to the unit, and it is also impacting the secondary unit. That gives you just cause to go in and enter. Now, being a quality landlord, you should make reasonable attempts to get hold of your tenant that you are going into the unit for. Might be a phone call, might be an email, but you should take all reasonable efforts to let them know that you're at least coming into their unit. For all you know, it may be a small child that's at home with a babysitter. They don't come to the door as a result, and a simple phone call from the tenant to the babysitter gets you access to the unit so you can go in and resolve it, and nobody gets scared or freaked out. So you always want to make sure you give notice. Again, it's for an emergency. So lack of heat actually constitutes an emergency. It's a vital service. You're required to supply it to your tenants. And of course, in our great Canadian winters, lack of heat could result in frozen pipes and whatnot there. So a lack of heat call, a call about a fire alarm chirping in the unit. Fire safety actually is mandatory, and if you are made aware that an alarm's not working properly, you have a legal requirement to act on that and resolve it. Otherwise, you could be in a problem with a fire department. So you want to look at those things. But like I said before, a leaky faucet that's just dripping, that's not an emergency. A doorknob needs to be replaced on the door. It's not an emergency. Another one that's unique that might be an emergency is you might get a phone call from the police advising you that they need to do a wellness check. Or maybe you have a tenant that you know normally routinely gets in contact with you, hasn't been for a while, not aware of them going away in any way, shape, or form, and somebody says something's not in the right. Well, if you really believe there is a problem and maybe that tenant's health could be in question and they should be checked in, don't go into the unit yourself without posting the appropriate notice. Contact the police, explain the situation, ask them if they'd be willing to meet you there to do a wellness check, and do that wellness check at that time. Uh, Worst case scenario, if nothing else, make sure you at least leave a note when you leave the property that you were into the unit, why you were into the unit, and that if your tenant has any questions or concerns, they contact you. We have to manage through this obstacle all the time. Not always get the answer you want because you'd like to think things could be handled faster than they are sometimes, but proper notice has to be given when it's not an emergency. So if you want more information on this, don't hesitate. Give us a call, 705-792-9764. And like I said in our previous videos, if you are looking for legal advice, we actually suggest that you contact a paralegal or a lawyer. Those are the ones that can give legal advice. We're just giving guidance based on routine behavior and what should be expected, and just sort of as an educational video. Again, this is Rob Hilton, AG Secure. Check us out. Next video will be all about the actual maintenance entry request and how to handle it and how to post it properly. Talk to you shortly. Have a great day.